So it's still pretty early. We're in France at the DS3R circuit, which Citroën's taken over for the day, and hopefully we're going to go and drive some rally cars later. But it's a pretty cool building, so I was going to show you a few things. This is not like a sort of a normal circuit, so yeah, come have a look over here. There's Sierra. See who is there? So yes, that's pretty cool. And then the one over here, they've got, I think, a model of every single Ferrari that's has raced at Le Mans by the looks of things. So. And beautiful as that. Don't recognise those. Chris Meeke's being interviewed down there, so we're going to have a look at those cars in a minute. I'm just going to show you through some of these cars here. So we've got the C4, which is the car before the DS3 obviously, and full gravel spec with certain Mr. Lowe's name on the side. And we've got the Zara kit car here. Then probably more interesting, we've got the Dakar car, which is very cool. You can probably have a look. We've got the full twin springs inside there. Coat with Dakar. This is really cool. This is an AX super production, and you can see it's still got 106 front on it, but it's just a really, really cool looking little thing, I think. Yeah, Vitesse Mille Piste, and it clearly still runs in I think some historic championships over here in France. So what we've got here is essentially, these are both DS3 R1s, as you can see by the decals on the side, then R3s, and then somewhere up in the distance that's the new R5. So the differences are, this is effectively Citroën's rallying sort of ladder, so I suppose you start out its equivalent of Formula Ford, Formula Renault or F3000, and then up to sort of GP2 I suppose in terms of if you're looking at single-seater equivalents I suppose. So I've just had a passenger ride and a drive in all three of these, and they're extremely different as you would imagine, but possibly not always in the ways that you'd imagine. So let's start off with this. This is the R1 and it's front-wheel drive, and if we have a quick look in here, so this is basically a road car. As you can see, we've got manual gearbox here, and it feels sort of, you can still got the original road car dials in it. Pretty much everything else stripped out. Helmet bag in the back, and it hasn't got a diff, so you really struggle for traction. But hands shaking. It still feels very nimble, very light. It's a bigger car than some of the other R1 cars. I drove the Suzuki Swift Sport, obviously in the British Rally Championship in 2008, and then I went back and drove a Twingo R1 as well. And they all feel sort of slightly different as you expect because they're based on road cars. This feels really nimble, but actually it feels slightly wider and sort of more stable. Possibly it feels slightly heavier, but it's a cool car. That makes it more stable and sort of in some ways easier to play, certainly than the Twingo. Anyway, next up. This is the R3 Max, so it's a cool thing. So this is about, I think it's like 82,000 euros for one of these. So it's a big step up. Sort of, I'm not sure what the price is for one of those kits, but it's much more manageable. I think mine was about £30,000, something like that. So this, you have a look in here. So you can already see it's much more serious. And although there are still 3 pedals, you only use this when you're pulling away, and then you've got here this paddle which you pull towards you to go up, and then you flick away from you to go down, and it's also a much more serious thing. It's still front wheel drive, this, but with diff now, we've also got more power, and it feels all in all much more suited to rallying, I suppose, and competition. It's really nice through the chicane. It's really quick. You just chuck it in, and it's just with you much more instantly because there's so much rolling, chatting and stuff. Anyway, we'll move on to the one up there, which is the brand new one for them. The R3 Max has been out for a few years now. I drove it on its launch in another circuit in France a few years ago. This is the DS3 R5. I drove the Fiesta R5 about a year ago, and there's obviously a lot of similarities with that in terms of the feel. We can have a look in here. Thank you very much. So you can see there's a lot more chassis work gone on in this car. You've still got sequential box, but unlike the DS3 R3 Max, this is a full, you have to do a sequential thing yourself, so it's almost a shock going back to sort of a more manual way of shifting, I suppose. Big yellow thing there, it's obviously the handbrake. The other difference, I guess you can see again, pedals only use the left pulling away and then it's left foot braking all the way. Difference between this and a World Rally car is essentially there's there's less power. You've got a small restrictor on the engine, and you do notice that over a World Rally car. You've really got to be more aggressive on the throttle, I suppose, and it's not going to be therefore so agile on the throttle quite unless you're very aggressive. Gear shift, it's quite a shock with clutch. It's pretty easy to pull away in the R3 Max. This, you feel, feels like a much more serious sort of proposition, and obviously it's four-wheel drive. You've got mechanical diffs front and rear, no centre diff for this, or just like the WRC car these days. The other big differences with the WRC car, so this is about €200,000 for the full kit, and you can, I suppose it's about half the price of a WRC car, but it uses far more stock parts that you can buy off the shelf rather than sort of the trick bits you get in a WRC car. Anyway. So R5 doing a full launch control. This is the difference between WRC and an F1 truck. Graded carefully. Zip ties. Probably get somebody writing in from an F1 team going, no, it's all gaffer and zip ties with that too. Somehow doubt it. Before I got to drive the WRC car, first of all I had a passenger ride with Kris Meeke. Now I first met Chris back just after he'd won the IRC championship in his Peugeot 207, and it was immediately obvious when I sat next to him then just how talented he was. We get to sit next to lots of very impressive drivers, but sometimes you see somebody that is just a little bit above the rest, and Chris is certainly one of those. Although the camera work is a bit shaky, just look at the calm inputs he has to the steering wheel. It's really, really impressive stuff.
It's starting to dry a bit this morning, but out here this morning it was like ice. Because all the loose gravel swept away and we're down to like the bedrock. And see when it just get a bit of rain and mud on that, it's treacherous.
There are a few bits like that on the woodpecker which just sort of, as soon as it sweeps and down to bedrock, it's like,
here we go. yeah. You both become passengers.
Yeah, quite.
Yeah. Is there any more outings planned? Or?
I haven't really got the money for this year, but try and get some sponsorship for next year. So So obviously with a wedding to plan now, it's going
to that's the start of it.
But having said that, I did it very well. I did this sort of because I bought the rally car before I bought the house because I knew if I did it the other way around,
it wouldn't work.
And I got the rally car fixed and done
before
I proposed, because I knew otherwise it wouldn't. So I'm not quite as green as I am cabbage looking.
It's not as long as you have your priorities in line. That's good.
Yeah, exactly. Distract with joy.
Yeah.
Look at the head.
facility is really cool. The stage is absolutely mega. Apparently it's owned by Michelin, but obviously because we're near Clermont-Ferrand, which is where the Michelin factory is. Next up, it was my turn to drive the WRC car. Not on the same stage that Chris drove, rather too many unyielding things to hit there. You never get that long in the car, and there is so much to learn. But I did feel like by the end of it, I was just about starting to get the hang of it. And then, of course, it was all over. Anyway, first job is not to stall, and then not to hit the photographer that is lying in the way. Was it. It is an amazing feeling driving a WRC car. As you can see, you have to turn into the corner very early and you have to wait for the weight distribution, get that sort of working for you, and then get on the throttle very early and very aggressively to get the diffs working the way you want, otherwise you'll just push through into understeer. But when you get it all flowing, it is an incredible feeling. And although they might not oversteer wildly like a Mark II Escort or even sort of some of the wilder Group B cars, it is still an incredible feeling, and they are so fast. I just hope that one day, perhaps, you never know, if I'm very lucky, I might get to drive one competitively on a stage. We can all dream.